Hi everybody, my name is Doug Wilson and this is Yellowhawk Custom Kydex. This is going to be a video that a lot of guys are going to be fairly excited about, I think, right? I've had a lot of requests over the years to make a video, to shoot a video that kind of shows how I build a Kydex sheath. Some of my techniques and why I do this, why I don't do this, why I don't do that, that kind of stuff, okay? Now, I'm not going to show everything. I'm not an open book, right? Anybody that knows me knows that I'm not an open book, right? I'm a pretty solitary guy, right? But I do like to help newer Kydex sheath makers, and that's what this video is all about. So if you guys stay tuned, I'm going to show you basically how I build a sheath and some of the techniques that I use. Please, don't go away. Stay tuned. I think this is really going to be of interest to a lot of guys. Well, a few anyway. Don't go away. Okay, the first thing I want to do is show you some of my personal sheaths. Actually, one of these, this one here is a client sheath. Some of my personal sheaths and different things that you might be able to do with them. So let me show you a few of these. We'll start with this guy here. This is one of the techniques that I use. It's called a Leather Elite. This is full grain leather over a fully functioning Kydex sheath. Okay, now this is like two sheaths in one, so they're not cheap. These are definitely not cheap, but they are unique. Okay, every one of the sheath systems that I build is different, right? They may look a little bit the same, but for the most part, they're all different because I ask the client what he wants me to build. And then him and I go through some different techniques, the different materials and different options. And then he decides what he wants. Okay? And he does that by texting me. Okay? The reason I ask for you to text me is not because I want your phone number. That is not the reason. Okay? It's because it allows me to keep all the messages in one area so that I don't lose anything. If I'm switching from texting to WhatsApp to emails, and we got 3 different venues that we're texting, I'm going to miss something. So I want everything in one area so I know exactly what to build you. And then if you say to me, hey Doug, I didn't say that, I can go to the text and say, here's where you said it. Or I'm mistaken, I'm sorry, I couldn't find a text where you said that. You're right. Okay? So it works both ways. And just text me and say, hey, I want you to build me a sheath for this knife. It's got a 6-inch blade. Okay? I want you to build me a sheath for an SE6. It's got a 6-inch blade. Can we talk about some options and blah, 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 blah. But first, I would really like you to go to my website. Just look around. I know it can be intimidating. There's a lot of information on that website. I realize that. But I do that for a reason. That keeps you and I a little more brief when it comes to texts. You already know what to expect because you've been to my website. And, you know that I have this option, this option, this option, this option. But you don't know if it's going to work for your knife. So that's where we have to work things out. Okay? So that is the easiest way to do it. Just text me and you and I will go through whatever we need to go through to build you a nice Kydex sheath. Now, I do have a lead time, anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. Sometimes it's more. But I tell people, if you get the knife and the payment into me rather soon, pretty soon, you usually get your sheath and knife back sooner, okay? Because I have it. You know, if somebody cancels one day and I want to do your sheath, I can do it. But if I don't have your knife or the payment, I can't do it. You get what I'm saying? So it's all I ask for is a little bit of patience, and I promise you one of the finest custom Kydex sheath systems on the market. I guarantee it. So this is a leather elite, okay? I'll give you a good look at it, okay? It's full grain leather over a fully functioning Kydex sheath. This is hornback alligator, okay? I have all different colors. Just ask me. I'll send you some pictures if you want, okay? Go to my website. That's where you start. Start at my website. And then my Facebook page is filled with sheaths. I post a lot of the sheaths that I make on Facebook. My Doug Wilson Facebook page, okay? This is a Raptor dangler assembly right here, okay? This is a combat lock belt clip. You can see the detent buttons on the side. I prefer these over a tech lock, okay? Because they are just simply easier to use in the field. They're just as strong, just as durable, okay? They work really well. I love them. But there are a couple of instances where I would use a tech lock. But most of the time, I go for these. Okay? Alright. Now, as far as these Raptor dangler assemblies, this thing pops right out of here. It can stay on your belt, right? Until you need it again. Then you just pop your sheath back onto it. Okay? Real simple. Now, I don't make these this way anymore. Not usually. I don't have the screws down here anymore. I'm making them like this now, where I'm folding over the bottom. That makes them lighter, but just as strong, just as convenient. But, you know, it cuts some weight off, which is a big deal to me. I make these things bomb-proof, but still as lightweight as they can possibly be for your application. All right? So I make them this way now, okay? That's a Raptor dangler. This is a Voodoo dangler system. It's attached to the sheath itself, but it's still removable if I don't Loctite this screw. Okay? If I Loctite it, you may not be able to get it off. Okay? Honestly. Right? That's all up to you. It's entirely up to you. This one's for a Silent Hero. This one's configured a little differently than most because this is what the client wanted. But, yeah, the Voodoo dangler assembly. Okay? This is a really light assembly. Scuba webbing instead of leather, but I do have leather if you want it. Okay? See how stiff this stuff is? Really, a lot of quality items, a lot of quality materials. I don't use cheap stuff, guys. I don't like doing that. Okay? Doesn't benefit anybody to use cheap, right? So what else do we have here? Okay, here's a little more comprehensive sheath. Now, here's another Raptor dangler. And I took this off another sheath. I did not build this sheath with a Raptor dangler. But you can see you can put one on it. Okay? That's what's good about these. You can order these separate. I'll build you one. You can use it for your sheath. Whether I built it or not. As long as it has a belt clip like this. Or a tech lock. Okay? Alright, now this configuration here, the clip is canted, and this right now is in cross draw mode. But you can still clip the dangler into it. It's just a little crooked. Still hangs straight. Okay? Now here's some options that I can include. Tactical flashlight. Now they're all different. Depends on your knife. Sometimes I'll use a Phoenix E12 V2 for a bigger knife, or a Phoenix EO2R for a smaller knife, or whatever. Okay? Face mount ferro rod. This is our standard compass. These are pretty decent compasses. I use them. Live fire underneath the the holder here, I don't do this anymore. Okay? It doesn't work out for all situations, so I don't do it anymore. Okay? If it will work out for yours, I'll do it for you, but they usually do not. Okay? It's usually too high, this this configuration. It sits the ferro rod too high up off the sheath. I don't like that. Okay? This one worked out pretty well, but some of them don't. Okay? Now I got a striker on the back for the ferro rod. If you want one of those, you can take this off, right? You can take this clip off and put a moly lock clip right in the center. The holes are already there. Okay? Side mount fine diamond rod sharpener. I also have ceramics. I don't think I have one here. But anyway, here's a ceramic that I use. Here's one of them. Okay, great for honing. Yeah, it depends on what you do as to whether you're going to need a diamond rod or a ceramic. Okay, in my opinion, they're the best sharpeners for field use that I can put on these sheath systems. Okay, unless you want me to do a dedicated holder for a DMT diamond stone or something, we'd have to talk about that. But these, standard, I like those too. I also have another one, a different standalone. This is a standalone that I put my own handle on. This is a little finer than this diamond rod with the housing, but they're both basically the same grit. This one's a little bit finer. Okay, I like them both. Honestly, I like them both. Okay, so there's that. Okay, so next one. Let's look at this guy here. Now, a lot of guys know this, some guys don't. I used to be a prolific leather worker. I worked a lot with leather, and I made leather sheaths. This is one of them that I made for my Delta Whiskey Infinity design. This is my design. It's built by LT Wright Custom Knives. Okay? We actually have a lot going right now. I'm probably 75% finished all the sheaths for them that guys ordered. I have a couple of those left in CPM 3V. Okay? This one's been modified. I put a skateboard wheel bearing in there for the bow drill divot. But this is from the original lot. This is the prototype knife, 01 tool steel. Okay, and I made this sheath for it just because I wanted to be a little nostalgic, but I don't build leather sheaths anymore. I don't do it anymore because, in my opinion, Kydex is the better material for the field. Okay, leather, when it gets wet, it doesn't dry quick. It freezes. It dry rots. There's no retention in most leather sheaths. Not like this, not like Kydex. Okay, you can't get that from a leather sheath. It's just, you can't do it. Okay. So there's a lot of reasons why I switched to Kydex. I'm really good at building functional, bomb-proof, but lightweight sheath systems for guys in the field. Okay, this is our Delta Whiskey Talon. This is the Talon. This is built by Joshua Blankenship at Ankara Knife Company. This is my answer to a chopper, survival, bushcraft. You see this straight edge here? Right here? This is the bushcraft edge. You can feather stick, do all kinds of neat stuff. This is the chopping edge, right? You get it. Okay? It's a pretty big knife. This is my personal one. Okay? So I built one with a pouch on it. This is an SE accessory pouch with a ferro rod in it. This is a Fire Flash These are getting harder and harder to get. I usually put these on. They make the same kind of sparks, and they build the same kind of fires. Okay, I never have a problem getting a fire in the field with these. Okay? This is the new Delta Whiskey Infinity. This is the CPM 3V version that we're working on now. I have a couple of these left. Not in this handle scale, though. I think I have a black and a green micarta. Good. So, that's the CPM 3V version. This is my personal knife. This guy here, you see it's got a molly lock on the back. Well, you could take this off and put a tech lock on here too, or a combat lock belt clip, right? Versatile. This is a mount plate. The mount plate that I build, and you have to ask for it, gives you carry versatility, all right? I have to build this plate and put it on the back, and then put the holes in it for you to be able to put, you know, a lot of different clips on here, right? Or several different clips. Communication is key in this relationship. Okay? What else we got? I think that's it. This is for a client. I just built it yesterday. This is black carbon fiber Kydex. Pretty thick. I use thick Kydex, guys. Trust me, it just is more beneficial for field use. Okay? This is Recon for the ferro rod holder. Recon Kydex. And there's that new Raptor dangler. You see how it's straight, right? It's not canted, the clip. It's in Raptor dangler mode right now. If you wanted to use this in right-hand cross draw, you would be able to cant that clip so that it gets the handle up in the air a little bit. All knives, well, just about all knives, are handle heavy. So I try to combat that by putting a cant on that clip, and that helps get the handle of the knife up so it doesn't droop on you. Okay? These are all things that I've learned over years and years and years and years in the field. I spent quite a few years in the U.S. Army Special Forces unit. I served on an A-team, and I have a lot of field experience, and especially as a civilian backpacking, kayaking, climbing, rappelling, you name it, right? I just love being out there. Check out the YouTube channel, Yellowhawk Customs Outdoors. A lot of our trips are on that channel, along with a bunch of Kydex stuff and sheaths and, you know, cool stuff. Cool guy stuff. Okay, so this is the knife we're going to be Kydexing today. So let's get to it, guys. Here we go. Now, I've already taped it because it takes me, there's a certain way I do it, and it depends on the knife as to how I do it, okay? So it'd be impossible for me to show you exactly how I do every style of knife, every type of blade, every knife geometry, okay? So generally, I tape the blade, and that is the most important part that you need to get right in order to have perfect fit and retention. Okay? That is the most important part. If you can't get taping the blade down, then you're going to be producing subpar sheaths. Not as good as they could be. Okay? So that's number one, okay? And basically, the way I do it is, I start on either side, doesn't matter, and I go to the spine, and basically I cut it right to the edge of the spine and fold it over just a little bit so it doesn't overlap to the other side, okay? That keeps the spine nice and tight, all right? Now, if you guys have questions, go ahead and text me. Text me if you have questions, okay? It's hard to explain. I've already done it because it takes me so long to tape a blade. It takes me about and half an hour to 45 minutes to tape a blade the way I know I'm going to get perfect fit and retention. And it depends on the knife. Every knife is different. Okay, I really need to stress that. Okay? This is a Spyderco Bushcrafter. I don't know if you can read that or not, given the way this camera is oriented. It might be backwards. I don't think so. You should be able to read it. Okay? So basically, if you can look at it and tell how I tape it. Alright? And this is taped different than, say, an SE6 would be taped. Or a Habelis Bush tool, or my Delta Whiskey Infinity. They're all different. Okay? Sometimes I have to make little, what I call choil blocks. Fill in spaces. If it's a weird geometry, you know, I got to fill in a finger choil or something. I make wooden, hold on. Let's see. I make wooden blocks. Here's one for Silent Hero. Okay? That's made out of balsa wood. Okay? There's one for this one too. Let me see if I can find it. Now I try. This is one of my common blades. I do this quite a bit, so I save the choil blocks if I can. But I can go through all my choil blocks and find one that just fits. You know what I mean? This one would do it, but it's a little wide. Okay? Let's see about this one. I think this one will do it. Right here. Okay? There's a choil block. I'm going to put it right there. Okay? And basically what that does is it opens up this part of the sheath so that when you put the tip in, you're not shaving Kydex. You're not... It's hard to explain, but when this area here comes sweeping down the Kydex, right, to be molded, and there's a sweep here, this keeps it open so that the blade doesn't catch that edge. Okay? Now, 95% of the time, I can correct it, you know what I mean, with a choil block. Sometimes it's just so difficult that I have to do it by hand after it's molded. Okay? So let's put this one on. I'll show you how I put them on. It's not hard. Take a piece of tape. Now this is the best tape I have found for taping blades. And I've been through all of them. Right? Cheap blue tape. A lot of guys use the cheap blue tape because it's cheap. This is very expensive stuff. But it works the best. Okay? Plus, it doesn't leave anything on your blade. No residue. Okay? So, it's called Sharp Lines by 3M. Okay? And it's blue tape with green lettering. And it comes in 3 different sizes. This is 1 inch, 1.5 inch, and 2 inch. Okay, here's the 2 inch, nice and wide. I use this for bigger blades, you know. Okay? So I take a piece off, right? I just eyeball it. All right? This is hard to do with just one hand, but what the heck, right? Hard to do so that you can see it. All right? And then there. Okay? And that's basically all there is. Now, I tape it so it's secure, all right? And I make sure it's straight. I look down and make sure it's straight. That one side isn't higher than the next. Okay? And then usually I put one more piece on just to secure it really well. And I put it over here so that it's leaning against my my board here. And then if it's a little high on one end, I put my thumb there, I push it down, and usually that corrects it. Okay? So now it's nice and straight. Okay? And it's not it's going to give a good mold. It's going to give a good impression, and this is going to do what I need it to do as far as the blade's concerned. All right? So that's how you tape a blade. Okay? I'm sorry I didn't show you exactly how to do it, but it takes too long. Okay, like I said, in order for me to build a sheath like this, okay, just a regular sheath with a ferro rod on it, a dangler, it takes me about 3 hours to build a sheath like that. And I absolutely know other guys can do it in an hour and a half. I know you can, right? I can too, but not with the kind of detail and the perfection that I like. Okay? It's just, all this is done by hand. All this edging, it's all done by hand. It's all sanded by hand, right? So that you're not going to cut yourself. Sharp Kydex will cut you in the field. Happens all the time. So I make sure there are no sharp edges on my sheaths. And that takes a long time to accomplish. Okay, while I'm waiting for the oven to heat up, I'm going to shape the Raptor dangler plate. Okay, this is just the raw material here. And then the ferro rod holder. Okay, and what I do is so I know how big to make it or what shape or whatever, I put the ferro rod on it, right? Make sure it's wide enough. It's not too wide, not too thin. Right, this is just a regular Ryobi belt sander. Pretty good. Okay. All done. Okay. This 1.5 inch D-ring slides right over there, no problem. Nice and straight. Okay. Alright. So this is how I put the beveled edges on. I'm just finishing these up right now, making sure they're straight. Alright. And then I hand sand them to make sure they're nice and smooth. Okay. Now, I've been working on this one piece now for about 15 minutes. Okay, so I don't want this video going 3 hours long, 3.5 hours, because that's how long this is going to take me. All right, all done. All right, so there it is. Now I'm going to heat this up. Now I'll heat this up by hand. I won't put it in the oven. I'll heat it up by hand. And I will mold the ferro rod holder. And then I'll mold this guy here. This is the Raptor dangler plate. Okay. Now I make these blocks that I use. Right? They got sharp edges. And I'll show you how they work. I use the block itself. This is the smooth side. I use the block itself to heat the Kydex on. And I use... Turn the fan. That noise you hear is the fan. Alright? It's it gets warm down here, even though we're 6 foot underground. I just use a heat gun. This takes a little while. You have to heat it evenly. And you got to be careful not to burn it. These heat guns can put out 1600 degrees Fahrenheit hot air. You have to be careful. This one has different settings. So I have it on about 800 right now. That is more than enough to melt this Kydex down to nothing. Now I can tell by what the Kydex looks like whether it's heated well enough or not. It's getting there. All right. Now I already know what side of the Kydex I want facing. All right. Now I have to tilt it to one end so I don't get an impression in the Kydex where I don't want an impression. All right. That's just a blank ferro rod. Now this one's perfect. Ready to go. Now I'll do the same thing with this guy. Okay, so both of these are finished, you know, being rough molded, right? Here's the D-ring, 1.5 inch nylon D-ring. I use these because they're just as strong as steel, right, for tensile strength, at, you know, 1/3 of the weight, you know what I mean? So, you know, I used these when I was in special operations in the Army, these kind of D-rings, these nylon D-rings. I've never broken one, so. Okay. Now, it's not finished yet. I still have to, you know, put a couple of, well, you'll see it. You'll see it when I work on it. Okay, they're done. So, the oven is done heating up. So, let's go back and put a piece of Kydex in the oven. Okay. So, here it is, piece of Kydex, right? I'm going to throw it right in the oven. It's ready. So, I'm up at about... I go a little hotter than some guys say to do it, but it works better for me. I'm up at a little over 300 degrees, okay? But it cools down quick. When you take that stuff out, within 30 seconds, it's lost, you know, 1/4 of its heat. So it doesn't mess with the heat treat of the blade or anything, okay? So let's see, we'll come back and pull that out of the oven, then we'll mold us a sheath. Okay, let's mold this puppy. Okay, I just pulled this out of the oven. Take it this way. Fold it over. Push that spine against the side. Slide your hand out. Make sure it doesn't stick. You have to keep pressure on that thing the whole time you got it on that molding pad. Now I'm just screwing down the... There we go. All right, now I put one on this side too. Just so it presses evenly. There's another one here. Don't worry, it's not finished cooling down yet. Okay, now I'll leave that on there like that for about 30 seconds, a minute. Then I'll take these off, open it, flip it over, and press it again. Okay, now I'll take them off. When I press it again, I'm only going to use this middle one. Okay, this keeps the Kydex even on both sides so that there's no irregularities, I guess you would call them. You know, more pressing on one side than there is on the other. See, that's still pretty soft. Alright, now I'll smash this puppy down and I'll leave it in there for another few minutes. Now I take the sheath out before it's completely set. Because that will allow me to fix any imperfections right away. The type of foam that you use to mold with is a big deal as well. I use the stuff that works the best for me, right? And there is different types. It happens to be the most expensive stuff, but that's one thing you can't teach unless you're here. You know what I mean? There's a lot to this that you can't teach unless you're like right there watching. You know what I mean? Because a lot of what I'm doing now, it's not on camera. This video would be way too long if I were to do that. Okay, now I just pulled it out. Now I'm able to straighten things out while it's still a little bit soft. And here's a tip. As Kydex cools, it shrinks a little bit. Things get tighter. All right? All right, we're good. Sometimes I'll take a sponge with some water on it and cool it down quicker. If I need it to get out of there quick and I've got something to do, well, usually I just let it cool on its own. All right? All right, that looks pretty good. All right, let's release it from the mold now. Okay. There it is. Okay. Not too hot. All right, like I said, it doesn't mess with the retention. Okay. It doesn't mess with the heat treat or anything, right? Okay, now I take the tape off the blade, but I leave the choil block in there. It helps me with my hand molding, because this is where the hand molding part begins. Okay, so I draw a rough pattern. Just a rough pattern, so I'm not cutting off too much Kydex or not enough or whatever. Okay, you notice I'm not using a saw to do this. I'm using these tin strips. Now, over years and years and years and years and years of doing this, my hands are like Superman hands. I have an incredible grip. I also have arthritis in this thumb right here from this too. It's very difficult to cut through two pieces of Kydex, but don't know, man. I got a grip. Okay. Now trim off a little bit from the top. Now, like I said, I've been doing this a long time, so I know exactly what to cut off. And I very rarely ever make a mistake. Okay, so there's the rough outline of it. Now, most of this will get shaved down. I could even shave it a little bit more, but I like to leave a little Kydex on there, just so I don't make any mistakes on the belt sander, because this is going to go on the belt sander. If I had to do this part by hand, it would take me 5 hours to build a sheath. Okay, so I will take it to the bandsaw or the belt sander, and then I'll bring this back. You'll see it when it's done. It's no sense in me showing you the whole. It just, I'll be working on this for the next 20 minutes. Okay, so I got it shaved out with the Dremel. I mean the belt sander. All right. Now I'm going to hit it with the Dremel in strategic places. I use, various grits on the sanding drums. First, I put the combat scallops in. This allows you to get real close up grit. Okay, let me finish this, and then we'll get back to it. Okay, so I'm done hand sanding the edges. I don't know, 35, 40 minutes of hand sanding. And I do it in 2 grits. And I end up with 600 grit, or 400. This is 400 grit, okay? Sometimes I'll go to 600. That's my black stuff. Alright. Turns out nice. Keeps the edges nice and dull, right? Sometimes, especially if the client asks for it, I'll take a little bit of Seal CLP Plus, and I'll put it on the edges. It wears off in no time, but it kind of conditions the edges, right? It keeps them from being so, dusty looking. Especially with black Kydex. Black Kydex gets dusty looking. There. Seal CLP Plus and Frog Lube will not hurt Kydex and is in fact good for it. It preserves it. Okay? Don't need much, just enough to take off that dusty look. And there it is. There's the sheath. Okay, now I'm gonna put put a combat lock belt clip on it. Okay? This whole pattern gives me 90 degree crossroad, 90 degree position, and I can't do it. That pattern right there gives me both. So you can't like this. Right? Canted or straight up and down. That's the Raptor dangler position right there. Okay? Then I use the rest of the clip. I use the clip again to do the rest of the holes. Just draw them out. That's a pipe cleaner. That's a pipe cleaner. That's why keep the burrs off. So you want to do that. Same thing with holes in the platform. Just keep that Kydex from messing with the drill press. I mean the idle press. And run everything out from the inside. Now blow it out. This is an electric chain there. You can always train F4 chain, chain there, I think works good. That's not well, I've worn it out. I've never used it like warranty. But the last thing I for years, usually. So I do. I'm not going to do every day I use this thing. So I'm not going to say, hey, we're not going to warranty. Oh, no. Well, I'm going to do that. Alright, so we're going to put black eyelets in this. Okay, this is going to be right-handed. So I'll take all these eyelets over to the eyelet press. Okay. Let's see what we can do here. I guess you can see that. Alright, so the first one. Okay, put another one in. Put another one in. And so on. Okay, so nice and tight, right? Nice and tight. Now I want to say this, I generally do not put drain holes in my sheath systems. The reason I don't is because it's not a closed system. There is a seam there, and if water enters, it comes right back out in any number of cracks that are in that Kydex. Okay. Some guys put drain holes in because they burnish their edges and make them real shiny. That melts the Kydex together, and you have to put drain holes in it then. Get it? So it makes like a Kydex cup. You fill it with water and drink out of it. Skull! Skull! Alright, there it is. Now let's see what kind of retention we're getting. That's pretty tight. That's not bad. No rattle, no rhythm, no wriggle, no roll. Right? I did a little bit of hand work on it, not much. Okay, there it is. Alright, now I just got to put the options on it, and hopefully the retention won't change. And sometimes it does. Okay, now to put the ferro rod holder on, I actually used the sheath to draw my pattern on the back of the Kydex. So I put a ferro rod in there first, right? I put it on the edge of the sheath, and I used the holes that work the best. Alright, that looks pretty good. Boom. Then I just draw the pattern on the back. Draw the holes. There's no way you can mess this up if you use the sheath to drill your hole pattern. And there it is. Okay. Now I use a different drill bit for these holes, different size bit. Okay. Pipe cleaner. Alright. Because I can actually cut this out with tips, with snips. There. And then do the other one. And then I'll take it back to the belt sander and do the rest. and bring it up to the line that I drew. This is mil spec 1/8 inch shock cord. The best money can buy. It's not that cheap shock cord that wears out in a couple of months. All right, that's it. There it is. I hope you guys got something out of this video. You know, whether you're a veteran sheath maker or you're just starting out, hopefully you got something out of it. There's a lot of basic information in this sheath that you know, newer Kydex sheath makers should know. And now, like, I didn't show you everything I know. This video would be ungodly long if I went through every option, how to build it, you know, how to build the holder, what to look for, how to make it, you know, lightweight but bomb-proof, all that stuff, right? It would be ungodly long. It would have to be a series, right? How to build a Kydex sheath system ad infinitum, right? So this one turned out good. I'm happy with it. It is an eBay listing sheath. They're a little bit cheaper than if you were to order a custom sheath from me, but I still build them the same way. No rattle whatsoever. None. Now there's also a lot of stuff that's not in this video, right? Different options. This is just one sheath. Just one, right? I have, you know, the next sheath might have a fine diamond rod sharpener and a light on it. Or the next one might have a live fire or an Altoids tin on the back or whatever, or all of that, right? I can do all of it. So this is just one sheath that I built, and this is just one knife geometry, okay? To be a good Kydex sheath maker, you have to be able to Kydex different geometries consistently. Anybody can make a great Kydex sheath once, but to do it consistently, that takes some skill. Now, in addition to building custom sheaths and sheath systems, carry systems, I also design knives that I have a few different custom knife makers build. Okay, these are all custom knives. They're not production knives. I'm having Work Tough Gear do one of my designs. It's called the Backcountry. Let me see. I don't know if I have it. It's not here. I don't have it with me. Anyway, that's one of my designs that they're going to be doing as a production knife. Okay, but generally, you know, custom knife makers like Josh at Ankara Knife Company, Josh Blankenship, he builds several of my designs. LT Wright builds one of my designs. Mike Wallace at Wallace Edge Tools. Who else? I'm working with a couple of other knife makers right now, but the process is slow because how I do it with each custom knife maker, each one is different. Okay, so if you want one of my designs now, you can contact Joshua Blankenship at Ankara Knife Company. It's www.ankaraknife.com. All right. Now here's one. Here's one of my designs called the Backpacker. Now I made this specifically for guys who backpack, hike, right, trekking. It's lightweight, depending on what. It can be even lighter than this one if you order something that has lighter scales, okay? But this is like a 5-ounce knife. It's pretty light, but it's a full-size knife that you can actually get some work out of, okay? This one's CPM 3V. This one's got Sure Touch and G10 handles. It's called G10 and Rubber, Sure Touch. All right. I have this over it because I needed really super grip the last few times I went out. So I covered it with this guy. This stuff works great. this, it's called reptile tape or something. Let's see. Lizard skins. Here it is, lizard skins. If you want to wrap your knife in something that is definitely positive grip, try lizard skins. Alright? Good stuff. I tell you, I just got that on a whim. I just ordered it because it looked cool, right? And I'm telling you, this stuff is bad to the bone. This knife ain't coming out of your hand. No way, no how with that stuff. It is really grippy. Okay? So that's the backpacker. Here's the sheath I built for you. This is my sheath. Yours can look completely different. I happen to have this one set up so I can wear it with shorts. No belt. Just clip it on my pants and go. Right? It's pretty secure. This is the Delta Whiskey Infinity. LT Wright makes this one. Delta Whiskey Infinity. You know, if you have questions, ask me. Just text me. 443-315-6033. If you have questions, text me and say, hey, I'm interested in this blade, blah, 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 blah. Right? Whoever the maker is, I'll put you in touch with him. You know, Anchor Knife Company, Josh Blankenship. He's the one that does most of them. Okay? This is the Little Hawk. The Little Hawk Necker. Okay? I use my blades, guy. I'm sorry they're not pristine, right? I use my blades. Okay? Nice little EDC necker. Okay, and that's what I have it built as. You know, a necker. There's also a flip out ferro rod on the back. This is my personal one. I wear this one quite a bit. This one is the Viper Mini. The Viper Mini. Okay. All my knives, all of the ones I design, no matter how big they are, have a full-size handle. Okay. This one's got a full-size handle. You get all 4 fingers on it. This is a cool knife. I love it. The Viper Mini. I also have a Viper EDC that's bigger than that. What else we got? Here we go. This one here is called the Switchback. Okay, this is a Switchback. Now, this is my personal knife. This is the one Josh built for me. And you can have yours with or without Cerakote. You can have hardwood handles. You can have different steels. This one happens to be 80 CRV2, but you can have it made in CPM 3V, CPM 154. He deals with a lot of different steels. Now, the way it works is you contact the maker and you contract with him for him to build the knife for you. And then when it's done, he will send it to me and we'll work on a sheath for it. And it becomes a knife and sheath system. Fully custom. Can't get it anywhere else. That kind of thing, right? And I'm with you from beginning to end. Okay? Switchback. This is the OG Viper. The OG Viper, or Viper OG. This Viper Mini is also called the Viper Necker, too. I made a necker. You know, usually when I design a small knife, I'm okay with it being a necker or an EDC. You know, a belt carry, or I can make it any way you want. Belt carry, dangler, leg drop, all of it. You know, I can give you all those carries in one sheath. Whatever you want. What else we got? Here's the sheath for the Viper OG. This one now this is mine, and I just happened to put a lock on the ferro rod. It's a lock. That ferro rod's not going anywhere. But even if the lock wasn't there, the ferro rod still wouldn't go anywhere. It's under tension. Okay? This is just a basic belt loop. Okay? Basic belt loop. I still prefer my combat lock belt clip. It is a more secure platform for any size knife, including a small knife. Okay, this one here is the Spartan. The Spartan. This one's got hawk head pins, G10 scales, really comfortable handle. This one's CPM 3V, this one here, okay? That's what I wanted. You might want something different, okay? And then there's the sheath I built for it. Okay? My mount plates can usually hold different clips. Alright? This is Recon Kydex. I forget what it's. Recon Fog, I think it's called. Recon Fog. Okay? Check out that pommel on the back. Do some damage with that. Okay. Alright, that's it. I just wanted to show you some of my knife designs. And like I said, most of these are made by Joshua at Ankura Knife Company. Ankura Knife Company. So, thanks for being with me on this video, and we'll see you on the next one. This is Doug Wilson from Yellow Hawk Custom Kydex. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and all that good YouTube stuff.